Okay, today live review of the Courvoisier VSOP cognac. And this is a Campari product, 40% ABV, 80 proof. And I think, if I remember right, VSOP is a 4-year cognac age statement. But from the producer, they say this is roughly 8 to 12 years aged in a combination of Tonka and Limousine Oak. So that's not quite entirely Limousine, but so that's what we got with this today. And again, we'll rate this at a 100. 25 for aroma, 25 for palate, 25 for finish, 10 for texture, and 15 for my personal experience. And despite the fact that this is not a whiskey, I suppose, we're still open to exploring the fine world of every kind of different spirit, including cognacs and armagnacs and various other yaks, I suppose. But yeah, Courvoisier is one of the 4 major cognac houses. And Courvoisier, I think, is what I have written here is it's a cognac maker rather than a distiller. So they don't really do any of their own distilling. That's probably all third-party distilled, but they still control the process, right? So they don't own the vines, but they still have their hands in every part of the process. So they're kind of like an outsourcer, I suppose. And of course, this one is the Le Cognac de Napoleon. Apparently, Napoleon III granted Courvoisier the title of official supplier to the imperial court. Did you guys know that? I didn't know that. The last monarch of France. There's our spirit there, and of course, it's a little bit different than whiskey. Yeah, it's very rich and deep in color, but of course, there is color added in this. But it's kind of like less of a deal, because in cognac, again, you can have 4% of additives. That includes E150 caramel coloring. That includes a sugar. It also includes what's known as boisé, which is a kind of like an oak extract. It's kind of like an oak that has been boiled and reduced into like a little of kind of like a sludge. It's like a reduced oak product, and they are allowed to use that as an additive. And all cognac is allowed to use 4% by volume of that stuff. So there's nothing wrong with them adding a little bit of extra additives, I suppose. And some producers are quite fond of their particular boisé recipe. It's just part of the art of making cognac. It's not like a cheat code necessarily. It's a different spirit with different rules. And you're allowed to use funky reduced oak extract reduction products with these. But that just has, again, to do with the art of producing this particular spirit. So again, this is a pretty easy drinking, 40% alcohol. So most of the big brand cognacs don't really tend to stray from that 80 proof marker. But of course, you can get higher proof offerings from some smaller little producers. But the big 4, again, kind of stick to that 40% number. Big four, in case we're just throwing words out here. Big four is Courvoisier, Martel, Hennessy, and Remy Martin. Those are the four major cognac producers, and there's all kinds of little guys. All right, let's see what we got here. There's a little bit of that, like, nice, rich molasses kind of character. But it's also accompanied by kind of a lighter, red grape, red wine kind of note. Kind of like quite a nice, fresh and fruity red grape. Not Serp, how's it going? There's a little bit of oakiness on the aroma. Some brown sugar. I'm actually pleasantly surprised at the amount of like grape or winey component in this right now. Sometimes with these cognacs, you don't really get so much of that kind of wine thing. At the end of the day, these are brandies that have certain rules. So they have been distilled from a wine. Now, they do use particular kinds of grapes, so it's not just any old wine. What's the proof? This is 40% alcohol. Not much else on that. So, again, we'll give this a little taste and see how we feel. Courvoisier, VSOP cognac on the palate. Cheers. It's pretty sweet. The palate for me is kind of like that molasses cookie, that like gingerbread cookie kind of note. A little bit of that red grape note in there, but not a whole lot. And then the finish, again, much sweeter, brown sugar. Kind of have some oak notes at the back of the palate, or back of the finish, I mean. And this is kind of like consistent with my experience of this particular maker. Because we did a stream where we did like a three-way comparison between the Courvoisier, the Remy Martin, and the Martel VSOP all at the same time. And of the three of them, it was kind of overwhelmingly that the Courvoisier was like more on the like brown sugar or syrup kind of like sweet notes, whereas like the Remy was kind of more like in that dried fruit, raisins and dates realm, and that Martel was kind of like not the best in my opinion. I can't remember exactly what I said about the Martel at the time, but it was definitely not my favorite. Definitely had some weaknesses. But one of the interesting things to note, I suppose, is that Martel has kind of like a weird, like different range of products. Like they have the Cordon Bleu and they have the Swift. And I kind of wonder sometimes if, since they have like a larger range of everyday products, that maybe their better juices kind of split in more directions. So their like core product is not as juiced, if you will. It has weaker barrels, but that's just pure subjection. Not a bad intensity aroma, but not particularly strong. And again, there's only a few notes really. Again, that kind of like sweet molasses, slightly red wine thing. Maybe a slight bit of brown sugar. Palate definitely drinks like 40% alcohol. It's got some flavor there, but it really, it's tame, it's smooth, it's approachable, it's all the sweetnesses. It's very easy to drink. And I think that's kind of like the idea here, right? Like, that's going to bring some of that molasses cookie, some of that brown sugar, a little bit of winey component. But at 40% alcohol, it's made to go down easy and be very tame. Not any challenge there, really, in terms of challenging spiky flavors. Everything's well-rounded and very drinkable. And of course, while that's good for drinkability, that makes things not very exciting. It's pretty predictable, and nothing too interesting happening, I suppose. So at 25, let's talk about the aroma. And again, maybe slight oak in there, brown sugar, molasses. Maybe some raisin, and that kind of like red grape, kind of like winey component. Pretty reasonable considering the proof, frankly. Not bad. Some notes of varying intensity, 15. 15 for the aroma. Alright. Now to the palate, 25. Yeah, unfortunately, pretty lacking with palate flavor. Again, some slight sweet molasses notes, slight red grape note. Not a lot of challenge, not a lot of intensity. Frankly, palate is going to be okay with 10. Hard to get much there, and what's there is not too exciting. And on the finish, a little bit of spiciness. Again, that kind of like sweet molasses note. Some oakiness is present. Maybe a little bit of raisin. Finishes like, we'll call it medium minus. It's like slightly too short. Not bad of a finish though. A good array of notes. I'll call it 15. That's fair. Now, out of 10, let's talk about the texture, which is nothing particularly notable. Fairly thin for me. Not the worst. 2. Give it 2. Now, out of 15, my personal experience with this Courvoisier VSOP cognac. Which again, it's not bad among the other VSOPs that I've personally had. It's a little tame on the palate, but a lot of these big brand cognacs are quite tame on the palate. It has a nice, pleasant flavor profile, but if not lacking, if not imaginative, nothing too interesting happening. Kind of like what you expect is what you get, and on the sweeter end of what you would expect. Again, that sugar, molasses, syrup end of the spectrum, the sweeter of the major brands, in my experience. So in that way, while it doesn't necessarily do anything interesting in terms of challenge or complexity, it does kind of have a place. Again, we try to ask, why would you purchase this bottle over any other bottle, I suppose, of VSOP cognac. And for this one, again, it's smooth and easy to drink, and it's on the sweet end. It's mostly the sweet components. So if that's what you want, this is kind of like what you would probably go for. It kind of like aces in that space, I suppose. Not particularly interesting for me personally. It's not my preference, but oh, Mosley, you're knocking stuff over, man. No, go. You're knocking stuff over. Classic Mosley. Comes up here and starts shit. But it has a place. This has a place. Just like Mosley has a place when he's not knocking shit over. So at 15, we'll call this, mid-distinct. We'll give it 6. It has a place. Doesn't stand out, but it's a distinct offering with its own purpose, I suppose. So at 100, if we go 15, 15, and 10, and 2 and 6, we get a 48 out of 100. And this is okay. It's okay. It's almost good, but it's just okay. It's an okay cognac. It's okay. Not bad.